to right field, way up there, and way out of here!
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Gasolina, and we are joined by the second biggest Padre fan on this podcast, Regsy, baby. We're moving on.
For the next couple hours, I'm the second biggest Padres fan. Or hopefully it's not that much longer, maybe like an hour and a half.
How about it? Trent Grisham over here.
Just being also an absolute unit.
Yeah, dude has like a 180 batting average this season, but has turned it up.
What's he got, like
against the Mets?
3 home runs in 3 games?
And that play he just made before we went live.
2 off for Scherzer. Like, have a weekend, Mr. Grisham.
Have a weekend. Speaking of having a weekend, Cardinals did not have a weekend.
No, the Bird in general did not do well this weekend.
It was an ugly weekend for the Bird.
Listen, a lovely Bird in person.
Yeah.
But having it represent your sports team was not a good idea this weekend.
Nope. We're going to be digging into that for sure in the next hour or so. But before we do, can I get a little Warriors scrimmage love here? How'd we do today?
You sure can. A soccer tournament, just devastated our numbers. So we were at 5.
Oh,
luckily our catcher, 3
infielders.
Yeah, luckily our 6 showed up like 10 minutes into the game. So that was great. But yeah, we won again with 6 guys.
Unbelievable. It's it. I'm putting in a design for manager of the year.
This team was not bad, like not very good. This is probably the worst team we've played. But again, our guys need to see, like, this is the first time a couple of our guys like finally started seeing the ball pretty good. So we're just trying to get them seeing, kids pitch to them, not me and my assistant coach. So didn't get a bunch of plays in the field again because our pitchers just are blowing it by these kids. They're not like they've seen like kid pitch 3 times. So not great for our fielding, but good for our hitting, which is kind of what we need to work on more than anything. So,
I mean, it's happening. I'm getting manager of the year shirts made with your face on it.
I appreciate that. Look, it's for the kids.
I mean, but I don't know. It deserves its own merchandise. It really does. It really, really does. I have it circled on my list of.
Speaking of merchandise, that's a nice hat you got on there, sir.
How about it, brother? Here it is. The official Phixated merch showed up at the door yesterday. Andrea and I had quite a morning. We had to get Maverick to the groomer, and they were doing construction on the main bridge in Harrisburg that takes us across the river to get where we go.
Yeah.
So we were gonna be late. We called and canceled. I turned around, came back. Andrea wanted coffee. Stopped at a Starbucks. It was closed. Stopped at a Giant with a Starbucks. That was closed.
What?
Went to the Starbucks by the outlets in Hershey. Half an hour, 40 minutes later, I get my coffee. Come back out, pissed off, angry at the world. Pull up to the door. Guess what was there? Phixated merch. Wearing the hat. Got everything else. Gonna reveal a new one every single week.
It all looked great.
Yeah. Yeah, how about it?
That's what we need. If you've gotten one, people like put your pictures on Twitter, tag us. We want to see the stuff in the wild.
Yeah.
Don't just text it to us. Other people need to see, how good you look in it.
Yeah. Well, listen, this hat, comfortable, warm, because our basement's always freezing, as we know from prior pods. And
great place to sleep, though, if you've had quite a few drinks. It's a wonderful place to lay your head.
You know. And look, I've got a hoodie, a pullover, and a polo that I'm going to be testing out over the next couple of weeks here. So I'll wear them all in the pod, man. Wearing them all in the pod.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for mine to get here.
Yeah, it should be soon. I feel like we ordered
It's coming.
relatively
It is. It's coming.
In
Trying
line.
to be patient.
So you just live a little bit,
I do.
further away.
I do. I'm a little bit further away.
I would assume I'm gonna make the educated guess you'll have yours by Tuesday.
Ooh, I love that.
That's the educated guess. Because just where you live, I feel like it's gonna take another.
That means
day
I can
so.
wear it to the Phillies game.
There you go. But it also means like where you live means you couldn't watch the Birds today.
It does. Tell me why a Dallas LA Rams game is on as opposed to a Philadelphia game. Philadelphia is an hour and a half from here.
America's team, Regs.
Dallas is halfway across the country from Maryland.
America's team, Regs.
I don't want to watch the GD Cowboys.
Tell you what. America's team.
Listen,
they won. So it sets up a very fun Dallas week next week.
Their defense is very good.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Their offense is not. Their defense is very good.
What did I see? Cooper Rush completed like 10 passes.
Yeah, their defense is very good.
But like, again, it is. However, I don't think the Rams' offensive line is quite up to what the Eagles' offensive line is. So we'll see what that looks like next week.
Yeah, as we'll talk about, it'll be a very big key to the game. When
we get to Thursday, we'll have a full rundown of the Eagles-Dallas game on Sunday night because it's the biggest game of the season. I mean, the Eagles have their bye right out of that, and whoever wins this game is first place in the NFC East. So certainly a huge game, going to be at home. The Eagles are clearly a much better home team than they are road team, as we saw again today. But Dallas week's always exciting. And it adds to it this week because of the Phillies situation. It's been a long time since we've had playoff baseball, but now we've got playoff baseball running parallel to Dallas week.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And Dallas week for a 5-0 Eagles team, Regs, because even though today was a difficult game, they still found a way through it. They are still undefeated. And honestly, we both had this as a loss. So coming out of it, 5-0, and I mean, we had it as a loss preseason.
Yeah.
We both picked them to win as of last Thursday.
Right.
But still,
I have so many questions.
All right,
having only be able to follow the game through like the Yahoo Fantasy Football app.
Sure. Well, let me do this first of all. Let me just say a couple of things that I want to talk through. The first one being, I don't know what they did well outside of like the final drive of the game where they just ran the ball down Arizona's throat. I don't know what changed. Now we knew they were missing Mailata, but they were missing Dickerson for like the entire first half. He basically missed everything from the first drive on. So the left side of the line was Driscoll and Opeta, for basically the whole first half. And they also missed Kelsey for a short period of time too. So, certainly that affected and impacted the running game. Once they got Dickerson back in the game in the second half, they ran the ball much more effectively. However, I still don't know if they did anything really well throughout the bulk of this game. Jonathan Gannon went back to Jonathan Gannon today.
Oh God, I hate that.
I mean, he was trying to prevent the big play for a team who statistically this year is the worst big play team in football. And I know they have Hollywood Brown, and I know Rondell Moore was back. And let me tell you, that kid is explosive, Regs. Holy crap, can that kid run? He's got a whole nother gear to him. I remember him basically being the reason that Purdue beat Ohio State 2-3 years ago. But he was definitely impactful. There was a 3rd and 19 today. They threw a slip screen to him, and the Eagles had it sniffed out, but he just ran by people. I mean, the angles that they were taking were pathetic. We went back to not being able to tackle, kind of like that Detroit game.
That's fun.
It wasn't great. And here's the part that bothered me the most. AJ Brown didn't have like a target for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
I had him on my fantasy team, and again, I don't care that much about fantasy, but it was more so that he kind of got 3 receptions like at once, and then just nothing happened the rest of the time. What was it? Like what?
I don't know. It's really hard to describe this game. It was almost as if, Jalen said it this week. We got to pay attention to this team. They have a good front. They were definitely getting pressure, more so than what I've seen other teams do, maybe aside from the Lions. But they were still disciplined enough to not let Jalen beat him with his legs.
Yeah.
They were sending stuff at him, sending extra, 6-7 guys here and there. And he just wasn't comfortable today. And even when they saw blitz pre-snap, he was moving to screens.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they saw something on tape that they were susceptible in the blitz when they were opposed by screens, but that's all they were doing out of blitzes. When he was checking plays at the line, it was screen after screen to Devontae, to Quez, to Goddard. It just, I don't know, something didn't feel right.
Yeah.
And if they find teams, if teams see that as a weakness now, again, every team has their own weaknesses when they blitz. Like Detroit was too aggressive and he made them pay with his legs.
Yeah.
They were still good enough to know, and they definitely have the athletes at the second level to spy him and keep him under control. But man, oh man, it was just different today from that perspective. So I don't know what it was. I don't know if they were just sitting another guy over top of him or if the blitz just didn't allow them to get to him. But he was almost non-existent, and that can't happen. He's the best player on that offense. He needs to get the ball.
And someone made a good point, and I can't remember. I'll find it at some point. But like, how are you going to leave one of the best yards after catch guys in the entire league out of a screen game?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You want Devontae to get his chances. I get it. Goddard is another wrinkle to that. How are you going to not let AJ Brown get in that game?
Yeah.
Right? We've seen what this guy can do just once he gets the ball in his hands. Like, the whole reason you bring a guy like that in is to get him involved as many times as possible.
Right. Right.
So I really hope this isn't a trend. I hope that they can go back and watch the film and understand what happened with the blitzes and come up with it sounds to me, having not watched it, it's like they didn't have the proper game plan in place to deal with that kind of defense.
Yeah, it's odd because it's the first time that I felt like they were just off offensively. And, the first part of the game, everything looked great.
Yeah.
Moving the ball, doing what they always do. They found Goddard in the seam. I mean, Goddard had a huge day today, 8 for 95. Jalen stood in and with a blitz in his face in a huge spot on the final drive and hit Dallas on a big 3rd and 11.
Yeah.
And kept that drive alive. And I think every good team has games like this.
Yeah.
And, they definitely struggled a little bit today, more so than what we've seen, but ultimately they still stole a win thanks to Dicker, the kicker. And the fact that, Arizona had a very similar situation today.
Yeah.
But that being said, and then I'll answer your other questions, this is why Kyler Murray is who he is. Because, and again, there's a difference between a dude like Jalen Hurts and a dude like Kyler Murray. Like, Jalen Hurts makes that play on the final drive, right, to keep the drive going. Then Kyler Murray slides a full yard short of the sticks and spikes the ball, taking them out of an extra play and forcing their kicker, Amendola, to kick from an uncomfortable spot. So again, I know things broke the right way for the Eagles, but good teams have that happen. They take advantage of it. So be it. But again, Kyler Murray's got all the talent in the world. It is baffling to me that he still makes plays like that in his 3rd year? Yeah. It's crazy to me that this is still who he is at this point, man. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I hope that offensively, before I get to my sort of defensive questions, I hope that offensively, I think when you talk about like good teams just figure out a way to do it. Listen, this is not Tom Brady and like the 17-0 Patriots with Randy Moss. You know, like, yes, the Eagles have been putting up good numbers, but I think if we all really like deep down think about it, to start an NFL season that hot for a guy who's in his second year, you know, being a full-time NFL quarterback. Listen, Jalen Hurts is not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's not Peyton Manning. He's not those guys. When he sees something that he clearly went to the screen over and over because he was comfortable calling it and thought that that was the right thing to do. As we've said a million times before, we just hope that this turns into a learning situation, which means that the next week and the week after, teams can't use this the same way. Mm-hmm. That's all I would hope will come out of this. Look, we talked about it last week. You're going across the country. You're undefeated. Everyone's going to give you their absolute best test. You know, that's what happens when you're on top. You've got a second-year quarterback. The offensive line, like you said, is a little dinged up. And you had a defense that was decided to, you know, had a game plan to try and throw you off. It clearly threw them off a little bit to not involve your best player outside of 3 receptions, right? That means you're off. Something is wrong. But we've seen this team be able to learn from that and figure it out. So hopefully that's just what it is. To come out with a win is just kind of the gravy on top of that. In my opinion, from an offensive standpoint, I just kept seeing like a lot of, oh, they have the ball. They've like, it's been 2 minutes and now Arizona has the ball. Like there was clearly just like they were getting stuck somewhere.
Yeah. And we'll get to your defensive question here in a second. I think it's one of those things where they clearly saw something on tape, and I'll have to see what the press conference is and what the coaching staff says, that when they see blitz to check to a screen, there was something on tape because they didn't do it against the Lions. So maybe they saw something with corners tackling one-on-one. Maybe they saw something with linebackers not being able to recover. Something was clearly showing them that this is what they should have done, right or wrong.
Yeah.
But end of the day, offense did enough to win the game. Ask me about the defense.
So from a defensive perspective, I think we both said this, that we didn't expect Arizona to kind of be able to put up any significant numbers. Like I sat, you know, Hollywood Brown on purpose on fantasy. So I'm like, well, you know, Slay's got him. And you just kind of, like you said, you started the game really well, but then you just started to see them kind of chip away at it. And not being able to watch it, you're like, well, what is happening? Like, why are we letting them all of a sudden get these drives and that they're able to score touchdowns, not just stopping them to get field goals? So you already talked about the tackling. Is there anything else that like stuck out in your mind? Maybe from a secondary perspective as to why they were all of a sudden letting these receivers who, like, this is not DeAndre Hopkins. You know, we shut down Justin Jefferson, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah. So I think it came down to what they did defensively up front. This was a game they clearly did not want to let Kyler beat them with their legs, so they weren't sending linebackers. For that reason, they were afraid of some of the speed, I think. They were in a little bit of a shell, especially later in the game. They were killing the Eagles in the middle of the field. I mean, killing them in the middle of the field. There was a drive, I think it was right before half, where they just kept getting TJ Edwards kind of in a position where he had to decide. They run an RPO just like the Eagles do.
Yeah.
And he just kept getting sucked in. And again, I think some of that is just respect for Kyler. It's not an easy spot to have to make a decision, and especially and they're not going to play guys like that every week,
Right.
which changes the way that you defend. But Gannon was definitely more what he'd been in the past today than what we've seen this year. And I just wonder if it's Kyler Murray and what he does to a team.
Yeah, but like we've talked about this, is Gannon just going to like sink back into like the fetal position every time he plays a decent offense?
Well, I don't know if it's as much offense as it is quarterback, right? Like, I guarantee you next week he's going to send it against Cooper Rush. He's absolutely going to do everything he can at home to make Cooper Rush uncomfortable. Because, you know, the Vikings are a good offense.
Yeah.
They're a very good offense. But the quarterback doesn't move well. So he's sending stuff at him. Same thing with Trevor Lawrence. We talked about this. Trevor Lawrence can run, but Trevor Lawrence isn't going to beat you with his legs.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray will beat you with his legs. They're also a different type of receiver core, too. Like, the receivers that the Cardinals run out will beat you over the top. Now they didn't today. They beat them in different ways today. But honestly, man, like I don't know. It's hard for me to kill the guy because the defense has been really good.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
For the most part. So, but I was angry at him today because I just think he got away from what was successful. And again, I'll be curious to see what he talks about during the week in his press conferences and why he approached this game the way that he approached this game, which was so different than what we've seen the first few weeks of the season. Like he was so aggressive, sending blitzes at Carson, sending blitzes at Goff, sending blitzes at Lawrence, you know. And again, I think we'll see that next week on Sunday night against Cooper Rush.
All right. I mean, look, I think what the Eagles did here was they somehow got out of their trap game with a win.
Mm-hmm.
It was ugly. They didn't play up to what, you know, Jalen calls the standard for themselves. Like you said, had a couple offensive line things happen. And they still came out of it with a win. Look, did they deserve it? Like, should the guy probably hit the field goal? Probably. Did he miss it? Yes, he did. So it is what it is. Does Nolan Arenado make that play 9 times out of 10 at third base the other night? Yes, he does. The one night, right? He didn't.
Yep.
So I just hope that they continue to use these experiences as a way to learn and evolve their offense and defense. And AJ, we still love you. Don't be mad at it. You know, don't be mad at anybody. You're still the guy. And I hope he has 12 receptions against the Cowboys.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, baby. You're right. Matt Prater is going to hit that kick in that spot. But again, you know,
what can you do? You can only.
Here's the difference. Jalen Hurts put his practice squad kicker in a position to win the game. Kyler Murray did not do that. And it does come down to that quarterback being able to do it. And one did, the other one didn't. So
they
Eagles are 5-0.
They got out of their trap game with a win somehow.
Yep. And you know, here's the thing. They're gonna get to they get Dallas at home this week. You know, we'll see. And hopefully we're waking up next Monday 6-0, heading into the bye week. Be beautiful if they head into the bye week 6-0. Hey, before we turn over to the Phillies, I'm gonna admit a superstition here on the air. It's one that's it's weird.
I cannot wait for this.
And it's, you know what, man, it's totally accidental. It is completely accidental. Okay. Like, I don't know how, but it happened, and I'm gonna keep riding it because today I didn't ride it for the first half, and I thought maybe I was at fault for this. So, so before week 1, I finished up, you know, some laundry, and I'm wearing I'm wearing one of the hoodies that I had put through the laundry. It's an Eagles hoodie. I think I've worn it on the air before. It's a pretty sweet hoodie. It's got like the green sleeves. It's got like a cream, like pretty much like torso with Eagles across it. All right. Got pockets here on the sides. So I put it on for the game and, you know, doing my thing, watching the game. And about halfway through the second quarter against the Lions, I put my hands in my pockets and I realize that there's a sock stuck in the pocket
Okay.
that never came out during laundry.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm like, well, they're winning by 3 scores right now. I can't take the sock out of my pocket.
Of course.
Okay. Right. You
Of
can't.
course.
You
No.
can't you cannot do
I'm
it.
totally on board so far.
So I don't take my sock out of the pocket. They win the game. Right. Right. Week 2. Who do they play? Minnesota, Monday night. Like, can't take the sock out of my pocket
So wait, did the sock stay in the pocket for that entire week?
for the entire week. The sock did not come out of the pocket.
I'm all in
okay?
on this.
All right, so the sock stays in the pocket whole week. Wear it, dominate Monday night. Let's
Do
ride.
you wear the sweatshirt any other time?
No.
Perfect. It's
I
all
literally-
lining up. Yep. Nope. I love it.
I literally take it. I
Yep.
put it on right before the game,
Yep.
and I take it off right after the
I
game.
love it.
Okay?
I'm all in.
So do that.
Got it.
Week 3, Washington. All right. Wear the hoodie to Citizens Bank with the sock in it.
Beautiful. Pure commitment.
Okay.
Pure
So
commitment.
total commitment to the bit. Total commitment to the bit. Right. So do it again week 4. Like you keep riding the high. Like you gotta ride the high. Meanwhile,
course.
I wear the same shirt underneath it, wear the same pair of socks during game time. Like all of it. The whole thing. Jeans, the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay. So this week, Regs, I don't know if Andrea found the sock when she was going through the closet for something or what, but it wasn't in my pocket when I checked
Son of a bitch.
today. At halftime, it was not in my pocket. I'm like, where the hell's the sock? Run upstairs. It's like in the cupboard not the cupboard, like the drawer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? So shove the sock back in. You'll be glad to know the sock is safely in the pocket.
Is Andrea aware of this so she doesn't remove it again?
No, she's not. I don't think she knows about it because I'm afraid to tell her and the results of what'll happen when I tell her.
Because of her, or you think that'll take the juju out of the sock?
I just announced it to the podcast world
about
here.
to say.
So I'm
You
not
might
worried.
as well
No,
get
I'm
her
worried.
on board.
Well, I'm going to talk to her about it. I think this
All right.
week it's going to be a conversation this week. I think she needs to understand.
Yeah.
She already,
I think so
she gets a little anxious about all of my superstitions. I really made her anxious last night during the Phillies game. Remember, she has not lived with me during a Phillies playoff game.
Yeah.
So last night was a little bit odd for her to have to.
I have.
Yes, you have. But yeah, so that's my superstition, Regs. I don't think I'm that embarrassed by it.
I don't think you should be. First of all, I love your commitment.
Yeah. Commitment to the bit.
And I love your attention to detail of taking
Say
it
right
off
pocket.
after
Right
the
pocket.
game. No, but like taking it off right after the game.
Yes.
Never wearing that sweatshirt again until the game starts. Like that's all the things a superstition needs.
Yeah.
So now we get Andrea on board, and listen, I think if you want me to be very honest, and I think as a friend as we've been friends for a very long time, you'll let me say this to you. I think you're absolutely a reason that they almost lost.
I agree.
I
Wholeheartedly
think we
agree.
can have these honest conversations.
I wholeheartedly agree that because the sock was not in my pocket the whole game.
You lucked out. You lucked out that you figured it out at halftime.
Yep.
And they pulled it
was,
out. But
I was quickly vacuuming and I went to reach for my phone and I was like, where's the sock?
so now
Embarrassing.
we've rectified that situation.
Yes.
And the Cowboys game should be a la however many years ago when we beat them 40 something to like 4.
Yes, that sock will stay in its home now. And it's just, it's a white Bomba sock.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Love it.
I mean, this is also going to be a t-shirt.
I love it so much.
Just
I
a
think
picture
the
of
next
a sock.
hoodie we should print a picture of a sock on the inside.
A picture of the sock peeking out of the pocket.
Yeah, or something like that. Yep.
I think that's the one.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. And write that down. Sock peeking out of the pocket. Everybody should buy it. Everybody sign up for the sock. Superstitious
and we're gonna call it the superstition hoodie.
Yeah, everybody buy your own superstition hoodie. It's actually just gonna say superstition.
That's right.
With a sock peeking out of
That's
it.
Right.
I love that. We're doing it. Oh man, that's awesome. So, Regs, real quickly before we jump into the Phillies here, the Mets game 4-0, top of the 7th. The Padres are about to pull the Phillies.
Did you see what Showalter tried to do to Musgrove?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. What a joke of a franchise.
So listen, our former manager tried to do this with Max Scherzer not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly just trying to do anything to snap his team out of it. And yeah, I mean, it started out well. The Padres had second and third with nobody out, and they've had 2 strikeouts since. But Musgrove Did you see what Musgrove did to him?
Yeah, he did this coming off the field.
He did this after one of the pitches. He did this.
Dude, Joe Musgrove, have a night, bro.
And of course, listen, our girl, Alex Coffey, the best follow on Twitter.
What'd she say?
Had a great, let me find it.
Yeah, I'm not scrolling Twitter. I'm hoping that
she just said 9 minutes ago, Buck is going to get an earful after that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm
it.
hoping Will Myers does something here. Nope. Little squibber. No. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Regs, while the Mets fans sit and struggle through a game 3, you and I are casually sitting here,
just basking in the glow
of a two game sweep on the road, baby.
Oh my God. When you talk about like Andrea not living with you for a Phillies playoff, I am obviously in the same boat.
Yeah. Your text the other night was hilarious. Tell the people.
What did I say? I don't even remember.
Well, Angela told you that if you're going to act this way, that you could come live with me for the weekend.
So that wasn't even last night. That was the day before.
Oh, that was Friday.
That was Friday.
I watched the game at school with the teacher, Randy, big fan of the pod.
That was that was
we sat in the classroom and watched it on the big screen.
That was after everyone started getting home because it was like 4 something.
So what happened yesterday?
So yesterday, of course, it's late. I let my two oldest boys stay up for about an hour and a half to watch the game. And eventually, like the 6-year-old's just getting tired. Like, it's just time to go to bed. They can't stay up forever. So then it's just me and Angela, and she's getting tired, doing all that. And I'm just like, I don't know who said it, but like, I'm literally like, I'm staying on my side of the couch, the spot that I started in, because again, I don't want to move to mess up the juju.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to those late innings and I'm like this, and then I'm standing up and I'm pacing, and then I'm sitting back down again and I'm like this, and then they get a run and I'm like banging the pillow next to me, and I'm like, and she's looking at me like, I hate you right now, because she's just like, she's trying to like literally fall asleep. It's almost midnight, Yeah. And so Sosa catches the final thing, and she's dead asleep. She's been asleep for 20 minutes. So I have to watch the entire 9th inning. Like when Zach like gets it out, I'm like, so I'm just like shaking silently in, my family room. So they get the final out, and I'm just like, I just have to like pace very softly around the room so I don't wake her up. And she just thinks I'm an absolute psychopath.
So Friday was fine because, I think Randy kind of expected me to be that person. Saturday, definitely different. Andrea was asleep for a lot of the game, and she woke up at one point and she's like, you need to calm down. And honestly, Regs, I didn't move except for like between innings to get another drink, or I had Notre Dame on the iPad next to me, so I was kind of like back and forth a little bit there. And I kept the book, which is probably going to be something that I do now.
That's great. I love that.
Just from this point on, because it calms me, and I also feel like it's now a superstition. But yeah, she definitely was. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you're making me nervous, because I'm sitting there and I'm taking deep breaths and I'm sighing and I'm breathing heavily and I'm frustrated and I'm I'm angry at the umpire in the one at bat because he took, I forget who it was.
Hosed. Alvarado got
Well,
hosed.
that one, but then there was an at bat for us where he called us. I think it was Schwarbs. It was 2-0. And the pitch was like completely out of zone, called a strike, changed the at bat entirely. But again, like, it's just been so long that I almost forget what playoff baseball feels like. Every single pitch matters at this point. Like, this isn't just a random Saturday night in June. Like, this game, every pitch breathes life, and it breathes life or it brings death. Like, that's and that was the difference in this series. Like, the Phillies were able to breathe life out of pitches when they mattered, and the Cardinals were not.
The entire half inning after Bryce's base running fiasco.
Yeah.
And Nola is trying to just steal any momentum back. We had lost all of it.
Yeah.
And Nola gets through that inning with no runs. And like, I think it's the biggest inning that happened in the game.
Yeah.
And
we'll talk about that.
Like, I feel as nervous as the ninth inning. I might have felt more nervous.
Right. And we're going to talk about the games individually here.
Sorry, I know I'm jumping all over.
No, you're good. You're good. A couple of things I just want to talk about here real quickly. Just a gentle goodbye to Pujols and Wainwright and Molina. Did a lot of great things for the game, but man, what a great feeling for us to be able to pay back for what happened to us in 2011. Because I just don't know. I don't watch a lot of Cardinals games, but I can tell you right now, Yadier Molina wins a lot of games for them by the way he calls games and how he handles that staff. And that dude's gone. Like, that steady presence that they've had for forever.
Yeah.
Is no longer there. So it just felt like retribution. And I know it's weird to say because like we should be just happy about moving on, but it feels like our guard was taken from us. We had a decade of nothing. They had 56 playoff games in the midst of that. And now we kind of get to feel a little bit of what that's like. So definitely felt good on that end. Also want to highlight that if there were titles given out for celebrations, the Phillies would win them all. And I feel very strongly about that, Regs.
I spent 2 hours just scrolling Twitter, watching all the videos.
So an article came out today. I think it was, I forget what it was through. It'll come to me. I think it might have been Crossing Broad. I think that might have been what it was through. But they found the playlist that the Phillies use. Garrett Stubbs is on Spotify, and it was you can find the list. So I actually downloaded it. I will be listening to it nonstop.
That's awesome.
Because it is hysterical what these guys are listening to after the games. But man, just some of the scenes from last night, like Alec Boehm just never wears a shirt after these games.
Dude, he's ripped.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, again, he's a professional athlete, but still.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And you got Derek Hall carrying Garrett Stubbs all over the place on his shoulders. You got Kyle Schwarber doing all kinds of random dances. Like Andrea said to me this morning that she thinks I should just be Alec Boehm for Halloween.
I saw that.
And just go shirtless with the pants unbuckled and just carry Bud Heavies around and wave them at people to the beat of the song. Like, that feels very much. Did you hear what Boehmer said after the game last night when he asked about a message to the fans?
No.
So the reporter said, what message would you like to send the fans of Philadelphia? And he smiles directly at the camera and goes, I love this place.
Good for him. That's fantastic.
For sure.
The dude had a series for your first playoff appearance ever.
He really did. He really did.
And
he really did.
For
defensively and offensively.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and to put the hits together that he did, and to make the plays that he did.
Yeah, he really did.
Just unbelievable stuff out of him.
Yeah, some really good stuff. All right, let's dive in just to some generality of the series real quickly. And then we'll talk about the game specifically. Just a couple of quick things to talk about generally. Your feelings on Zach Eflin in the 9th inning right now, because we saw it 2 straight days.
It makes me more nervous than anything in the world.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
I appreciate that Zach is a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I do think he is a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. He's a good pitcher.
Yeah. Solid, steady.
Yes, but
strike thrower.
And I don't know if this is just me being like picky, but I need my closer to have an absolute strikeout pitch.
Yeah, he doesn't have that.
He doesn't have it. So when it gets 0-2, guys can really, they don't have to be nervous.
Yeah.
They don't have to. And again, I understand that when you throw 4 pitches as opposed to 2, it's a little harder for them to know what's coming.
Right.
But when you paint a fastball at 91, it's a lot different than Jose Alvarado throwing 102 with a ball that moves 6 inches either way. And and we saw it again last night. Like, Zach is a guy who in his starts will give up some hits, but he typically figures out a way to get out of it. Pitches to contact. I don't like my closer being a contact guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want my closer to almost be like just a boom or bust. He's going to come in and they're going to, right? I don't know why. I don't know why I feel this way, but I think we tried the Eflin thing. It's worked out so far. I don't think it works against the Braves. I don't think it works against the Dodgers. I just don't think when you get these better and better lineups that we're going to see, that a guy who has the stuff that he has isn't going to scare anyone in the 9th inning. How do you feel about it? I want to hear what you think about it.
I mean, and again, we know how I feel about Zach Eflin. So I'm a big Zach guy, but I'm also not a guy who loves the closer thing.
Yes.
And last night is it is the exact reason why, because you're facing in the 8th inning in a big spot. You've got their 3 and 4 guys up. They're best, right? Like, Alvarado just gets screwed out of a call against Pujols. I think it was Pujols, if I'm remembering correctly. And was it Pujols at that point? Or did Sir Anthony come in before Pujols?
Sir Anthony came in for Pujols.
Yeah.
So it was whatever whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, Newt Barr.
Thank you.
So that's where I want
character.
That's where I want my top. Yeah, it does. It does sound like a Harry Potter character. And that dumb new, shut up.
Stupid.
I mean, listen, we did it with Raul, but it's not us, so it's dumb. But so I want my best reliever against those guys, Regs.
Yes.
Like, that's where I want Sir Anthony in the game. That's where I want Alvarado in the game. I don't want Topper to be sitting in the dugout saying, well, we got to wait to use them because it's not the 9th yet. Like, to me, that's, you use your best pitcher against their best hitters.
Which luckily he did.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at that point, all you have is Eflin. And if you're facing the bottom of that order, Eflin can get those guys out. Now, I do agree with you in the sense of the Cardinals' bottom of the order is far different than the Braves' bottom of the order and the Dodgers' bottom of the order. So they're going to have to find a way to navigate that inning a lot more differently this week.
Mm-hmm.
The hope, I think, is that at least Wheeler and Nola can get you through 7. But you got to be able to trust some of these guys in the bullpen. And So ultimately, do I love Eflin in the ninth? I guess not, but I just think he's going to do it based on matchups and who's hitting for the team at the time that they're hitting.
And I don't have an issue with that. I think he made the absolute right decisions leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
I 1,000% agree with you that I want Alvarado into Sir Anthony in those situations.
Yeah.
All righties, you absolutely want Sir Anthony in those situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So completely agree with the decision making. It's just Eflin coming in to close it out without lights out stuff just makes me nervous all the time.
Right. So, all right, let's flip the script a little bit. Little fun here because I know you mentioned these two in our show.
My God.
Last week.
I'm gonna curse, and I'm sorry, people, but I'm gonna do it.
I don't know if you are. I don't know if you know who I'm asking about.
Oh.
But
I mixed them up then.
To repeat, this is a tweet. I don't know who John Denton is. Oh, he's a beat writer for the Cardinals. Just to repeat, tonight's game was the first time this season Cardinals stars Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado struck out at least 2 times in the same game per MLB Stats and Research. It happened just once in 2021.
Okay.
Those two dudes choked the big one this weekend.
Yeah.
For as bad as our big money guys were, they were worse. Now, Arenado, to be fair, hit some piss missiles.
Snot out of the ball a few times.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just happened to find gloves.
Yeah.
But man, when they needed contact or a big hit, those two guys came up about this big.
Yeah.
Like this big.
I'll give a compliment to another guy we're going to talk about later, but A-Rod said one smart thing the whole time, and it was about Goldschmidt in the 8th. He made a very good observation that Goldschmidt was dipping his back shoulder and was swinging underneath everything. And then when he actually made contact on one, he's like, look, he made contact on that because it was low. So his swing path was working out. And it was a fantastic observation by a guy who was an unbelievable hitter in his own right. So you would hope that's kind of why he's around, right? Is to make these observations.
Yeah.
Goldschmidt was off the whole time. Like, thank God, because he swung at ball 4 with Sir Anthony.
Yeah, he thought he was getting a strike.
It was a ball out of the hand.
Yeah.
And he was swinging from the word go. And someone else made I think it was the High Hopes guys when I was listening to their pod from last night. They said that Arenado's body language changed after that ball wasn't a home run against Wheeler in game 1.
Yeah.
Like some ball that had they said 85% of the time is out of the ballpark. And it didn't somehow. But like you said, he hit the absolute piss out of a couple. Ball made another unbelievable play on one.
Yeah.
Now, but his body language changed.
Yeah. Arenado can opt out after the season. I'll be curious to see what happens there. And
I say that as a guy who absolutely loves Nolan Arenado.
Oh, me too. And which is what I'm about to say something that's a little crazy, but for a team who, very much could move on from the dude who's hitting second for him right now and slide the third baseman to first base, Nolan Arenado would be.
I say all this by saying I would take Nolan Arenado in less than a heartbeat on the Phillies. That guy is so good. I get it. He didn't come up when he needed to in this series. If you told me,
there's a lot of pressure on him.
If you told me Nolan Arenado could be on my team tomorrow, I'd say, where do I sign? Yeah. I don't hesitate 1 second. I'm
just putting it out there, but I will. Let's move to the other two guys who were just an atrocity.
These are the guys I'm going to curse about.
I just had to highlight Arenado and Goldschmidt because we talked about him last week.
It's fair. They came up in a huge spot and didn't do anything.
Yeah, and they've been struggling all of September. We talked about that, and they just never really recovered.
Yep.
Michael Kay and Alex Rodriguez. I need to say I don't know how Michael Kay is where he is.
He's horrific.
I don't know that I've ever listened to a broadcaster who has no flair for the big moment.
Everything's just flat.
Yep. Doesn't set it up well. It's non-existent. A guy who, like, so clearly is trying to storytell that it comes off as, like, so unnatural the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, and, you know, if you're going to be on a national broadcast, both of them, not just one of them, but both of them, you got to know the names of whom you're talking about. Stockton.
Yeah.
You gotta know the story of what you're telling. Happened multiple times that they were trying to tell a story that wasn't accurate whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was just an embarrassing 2 days for both of them. And the bias that came through. Now, they were praising some of the stuff Phillies related.
But again,
they were.
Do you want to suck the ass more of the Cardinals? Like
there are pieces of my understanding that go to that, but it was borderline ridiculous at times. I mean, they were great about Bohm and the improvements that he's made defensively. They truly were great about that. You know, they talked a little bit about like the Harper stuff and, you know, Schwarber's leadership, like at Topper's impact.
Yeah.
So that stuff was there. But like A-Rod actually cheered when Albert Pujols hit a single.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Did you tweet about that?
I did.
Yeah.
He audibly said yes when the ball snuck through the infield. Audibly.
Yeah.
Not okay on a national broadcast. I'm sure your buddies and we talk about Albert Pujols with the greatest amount of respect.
I love Albert. I said he's my favorite player, non-Philly player I've ever seen.
But you are a national broadcaster in this moment. Like, there's a way to be like good for Albert. Moment well deserved for Albert Pujols.
Right.
Those are things you can say on a national broadcast that are acceptable.
Yeah.
But not when it sneaks through.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. You're up.
And then the Phillies, like the Alvarado comes in on game 2, and they show the stats of how the Phillies bullpen's like got the 7th worst ERA and like they're last in this. I didn't see one negative stat about a Cardinal the entire time. They might have mentioned a little bit that Goldschmidt was struggling in September, but that was in the context of, I wonder if him or Arenado will win the MVP.
Yeah.
And like, could you have two? It was both of them. They were both just so, they couldn't even tell stories. Like, it was just so blah.
Yeah.
Alex Rodriguez somehow is terrible at being an announcer. That guy has more knowledge in his brain about baseball and more talent for baseball in his pinky than I do in my entire body.
Mm-hmm.
And he just cannot figure out a way to translate. Again, like I said, the Goldschmidt stuff was awesome.
It was so good.
It made me look at it. Like I was like, I didn't notice that, but that's an unbelievable piece of information for a fan. Regardless of what team you're on, it's an unbelievable piece of information. Mm-hmm. But then he tries to be like witty about stuff or like say a joke. And it's like, have you ever spoken to other people in your entire life? Do you know how to interact with people? Like,
well, in the Bryson Stott stuff, like, you know, you're talking about Bryson Stott and you're trying to have like this moment about rookie really changed the shortstop position. Kind of like Kevin Stockton.
Yeah.
No. And poor Kevin Stocker actually tweets and goes,
Good for him. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, Stocks, come on the show, bro.
Hey,
But one stat they did show, so let's rewind to game 1. Hat tip to Zach Wheeler. What a job he did. Cardinals absolutely picked the right guy to start that game against them. You know, we talked about it on Thursday night that Jose Quintana would be tough. Soft tosser, gets you off balance. Really did well. I actually thought they pulled him too early in this game. Oh,
yeah, for sure. What was he at, like 70 pitches?
Yeah, but they were going with the inning stuff. Like, again, it's one of those things where they just they went with the innings. You know, but Wheels did a great job, and you know, Alvarado comes in and gives up his first home run since like June.
Oh my God.
Or something. Or it was
Those
like
stats
first
were
run since like
ridiculous. Yeah.
August or
Yeah.
like beginning of August or whatever. Came out last night and did it, was fine. But I think, we went into the 8th inning down 2-0 and it didn't feel good. And then the 9th inning rolls around and Halsley is really good.
Yeah.
Like really good.
Yeah.
But again, one of those situations where I think they tried to get too much out of him.
Yeah.
Couldn't locate the fastball at all. And once you can't locate your fastball as a major league pitcher, you got guys like Castellanos who are diving at that low and away breaking ball, no longer believing that it's, there's no fastball left.
Right.
So
it's all he's looking for.
Right. Couple of moments in that inning that I just want to kind of touch on. The first is this was the stat they did show. The 93-0 when leading by 2 runs after 8.
Yep.
Yeah. 93-1 now, baby.
93-1.
But good on JT for putting the bat on the ball there. Good on Bryce. What
Down
an incredible
0-2, right?
bat.
Yep.
From Bryce there, who had been struggling, and I think that really gave him confidence because he had much better at bats in game 2.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to here in a little bit. And then the Nick Castellanos at bat, same thing. Just a really nice job putting together a solid at bat. The game slowed down quite a bit. Alec Boehm getting hit and then immediately, clapping it up.
Yeah.
That's a complete 180 from my effing hate this place. And I think after that point, I believe the inning changes because of Topper's managing. And using Edmundo Sosa in that spot to run wins you the ball game.
Yeah, literally.
It wins you the ball game. I mean, Gene Segura getting his moment again, like that's another shirt I want to make is him leaping in the air on his way to first base.
Yeah.
That is an incredible moment. They take the lead there, but then Bryson stopped putting the ball in play and Edmundo Sosa being who he is speed-wise to do what he did there. What an incredible move by Topper.
Yeah.
And then, they get a little lucky, the Schwarber fly ball, whatever, that's great. But then ultimately the ground ball that snuck through the infield. The Brandon Marsh ground ball. But that inning was unlike anything I've ever seen before. And honestly, Regs, I knew they were winning game 2 because of that. Like I knew there was no way they were losing.
Yeah.
There was no energy left in that place.
I knew it up until that, like we talked about that Bryce inning.
Yeah.
I was all in. Again, look, I know you can talk about it a million times. They talked about like how no ball like reached 90 exit velocity or something like that in that inning. Like I talk about it with my 8-year-old, my 7-year-olds. When you put the ball in play, stuff happens. It's like a baseball truth. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter how good somebody is. When you put the ball in play, stuff just happens. People have to make decisions. They have to make plays. They have to do you force the opposing team to do everything right. Now listen, do really good teams do that a lot of the time? Yes. But you know what doesn't give you any chance at all? Strikeouts. Not like just making contact with the ball to do something. And they highlighted it again today, or I was watching a John Boy Media video about the 9th inning. And he was talking about Goldschmidt. And when the ball got to him, like whoever was running from first was 5 paces away from him. He could have easily spun, thrown to second, and been on first base to try and get a double play. If that happens, Sosa, regardless of if he scores or not, it doesn't matter. But it forced Goldschmidt to make a decision. He was a step away from first base. He could have stepped on first and then thrown to second. Probably would have still had time to make a tag play on the guy going to second. It forced him to make a decision. And it forced him to make we can say it now, the wrong decision. And Sosa, an unbelievable slide, an unbelievable read just to fly to home plate. It forced the second baseman to try and make a tough play with the infield in. Ultimately, goes right through his arm. Putting the ball in play forces Arenado to try and have a tough mid hop on a crazy spinny, crazy top spin ball. That again, I think Nolan Arenado makes that play 9 out of 10 times. But this time he didn't. And it gives you that one extra run. All I was saying during that inning was get another one. Give us another one. Don't stop here. Get the sac fly to score another one. Sosa scores another one. You get one more with Gene. That's what you have to do. And it will be a baseball truth for the rest of the time. When you put the ball in play, things can happen.
Yeah, and the reason why I believe that I knew they were going to win that game there is because you said it. You said 9 out of 10. Nolan Arenado makes that play 99 out of 100 times. Yeah. 99 out of 100 times he makes that play.
I don't know when the last time I've seen him miss it, quite honestly.
Yeah, effortlessly. The ground ball to Goldie, I think you're right that there were multiple plays he could have made. The problem there is he knows there's speed everywhere, right? Sosa on third, Stock can run, Marsh can run.
Yeah.
So he's got to make sure he tries to get that out at the plate, because if he doesn't, let's go San Diego. Let's go off of
Soto.
Mr. Trumpet himself. Get out of here, you punks.
Huge runs.
Let's go, Juan. Let's go.
Going the opposite way too.
If he doesn't go to the plate there and they don't turn two, he's being crushed for that today.
Yeah.
So, he could have assured himself one out there.
Yeah.
Which then Schwarber's sac fly doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But he didn't, and here we are.
Again, but it just forces a decision to happen.
Yes. And that's something that the Phillies, I think, have to, keep building on, is that idea of we got to put the ball in play.
Yep.
Game 2. Let's jump in here. Another incredible starting effort.
Gracious.
October Knowles, baby. Don't let them get back to Philly with a chance to win it on Friday with October Knowles.
Listen, I'd like to take a minute here.
I think I know what's coming. I'm going to mute.
I've been a very large critic of Aaron Nola. Just a year ago, I defamed that stupid curveball that gave up more home runs than I've ever seen in my whole life on 0-2 counts. That dude, this entire season, has been this team's absolute rock from a pitching standpoint. And I humbly, bow before you, sir. Because just another unbelievable performance on the road in your first playoff start ever. Just hats off to you.
Yeah, I think every Philly fan feels that way. Aaron Nola has taken a lot of grief from us, and he was phenomenal last night. He's been great all year. And the thing about Aaron that I just think goes under the radar is that dude takes the ball every time he's supposed to take the ball.
Yeah.
And, there are days where it's not as good as others, but that's going to happen if you're making 30 plus starts a year.
Yep.
Most dudes don't. Most dudes do not make that many starts during a year. Aaron Nola does. And he's dependable because he's out there every fifth day. And he was in a groove last night, man.
Yeah.
Again, I don't find the Cardinals offense to be a bunch of world beaters at all.
Sure.
But he did the same thing to a very good Houston offense. So, again, we'll see what happens on Friday. You want to talk about potentially the biggest start of your life.
Yeah.
Fridays very well could be that. But let's talk a little bit about the other end of this, which was Bryce Harper's first swing off of Miles Mikolas. That ball was
Oh my God.
tattooed. That ball was, it's not an easy place to hit a home run in and to have a no doubt home run in. And that thing was an absolute no doubter. And then later he comes up and he slaps that ball in the center field. And I thought to myself, you know what? There's a little bit of confidence in Bryce right now. Don't let Bryce get hot. But he is. And so your thoughts on the Bryce homer, and just where you think he might be at offensively.
What I've been texting you since the series started about him and Castellanos.
Right.
And we talked about it on the pod. We disagreed about it, but I said it that these are the guys I need.
Mm-hmm.
This offense feeds off Bryce Harper. And to come up there and just be like, screw it, I'm going to sit curveball. And if you would have asked me probably before that at bat, even if he was sitting on it, would he have hit it like that? I would have said no. He has been way off on even breaking balls. His timing has not been right.
Right.
And when he hit it, I turned around and to no one who would understand, I said, Bryce needed that in the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, again, the hit up the middle. He got up there and got a hit when we needed it. It's just, this is what I want. I need him to start getting his timing back and figuring it out. And I really hope that, that second game did it for him.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Bryce is when he gets a feel, he's a very difficult out.
Yeah.
It looks like he's starting to get a little bit of a feel here. I mean, obviously then Schwarber with the sac fly, another professional at bat from Kyle Schwarber, which I know we get on him about the strikeouts. That's going to come when you hit 50 home runs. You're going to strike out a bit too. But when he needs to have a professional at bat, he does it. And he did that twice in this series when they needed an extra run. He went and got it for him.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on the base running with Harper here for a second. I was not mad at all at him for a couple of reasons.
We're going to disagree again.
And that's fine. Yeah, we can absolutely disagree. I understand why people were. I get the momentum swing. But there are a couple of reasons why I'm not mad. One, he was actually safe. So,
fair.
So that's one of the reasons I'm not mad. He was safe, and I don't know why we have replay.
What is the point?
If we're not going to overturn that, because again, it goes into that old football thing where it's like, oh, it stands because we couldn't. There wasn't enough.
But that's
evidence.
not true. There was.
Yeah, they're clear. I mean, everybody knew it.
Yes.
But the other reason why I'm not mad there is rewatching the play. The only reason that Bryce is out is because it was a terrible throw to third base. If that throw, the way he's reading it is, if it's a good throw, they're not going to get me because there was no need for a tag. If there's a need for a tag anywhere in the radius of third base, like anywhere in the radius of JT, they're going to try and tag, and they're not even going to have a throw to second base.
Yeah.
That being said, you're also in that moment, you have to realize who the third baseman is.
Right.
And, he's going to make a play if he can make a play. So I understand the momentum swing in that moment. I get it. I've watched enough sports to know how one play can change the momentum, but it's also only a 1-0 game at that moment. So it might've been 2. I can't remember if it was before or after the Schwarber sac fly, but he's trying to make something else happen. I think one of the things not being talked about enough is right after that, the other $20 million a year player comes up, swings at the first pitch, and grounds out.
Well, that I'm 1,000% with you on that.
That part got totally ignored because we were all still focused on the Bryce play for one reason or another. That Nick comes up and just hits a ground ball to third base instead of professional at bat, waiting for a pitch he can lift and hit, especially against a lefty. Because I think at that point it was still Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah, it was.
So you have to be able to do something there other than hit a ground ball to third base with a drawn in infield.
Yeah.
It's over and over again. So I get it. And I know that you're going to say, I'm going to be rabbit you here and say, I know what you're saying about momentum.
Yeah.
But, sort of like the old phrase, momentum's just as good as your next day starting pitcher. It's also just as good as the guy who comes up next and can get that run in anyway. So, I mean, again, I wasn't mad at Bryce. I'm still not mad at Bryce. Had they lost, would I be mad at Bryce? Maybe I might be talking myself into being mad at Bryce, but I always love Bryce being aggressive. I always do. I just, that's part of the reason why I love Bryce, because he doesn't take a play off. Every play means something to him.
Yeah. I think my only thing is that I think with no outs and you're going to have first and third, that a double play still scores that run. So I think, like you said, now if Bryce is on first, maybe Arenado is still in and you don't get the guy over, but then Arenado has to decide, is he going to second? Is he going to first? He's probably not turning a double play because he has to look JT back. I think that's my only thing, is that I just wish in that moment you did your job, Bryce. JT, I think, took I like JT's risk, I guess, is what I'll say. I like JT's risk better than Bryce's risk in that situation. JT takes the risk that this center fielder has to put an absolute dime on the bag to get me out. Like you said, a lot more can happen with the Bryce thing than I think. There was a better chance of Bryce being out in that situation than there was JT. So I think that's just where I'm at. I just think that to then get out of that inning without scoring that run, just gave them that, and thank God Nolan came back and just shut it down.
Mm-hmm.
But first and third, nobody out. I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it.
It's fine. I totally get why. I get the momentum part. For me, it's a winning player trying to make a winning play, and it backfired in some ways. He was definitely safe, but is what it is. All of this to say, Regs, they're moving on.
That's right.
And
that's right.
They get 2 games here with the division rival. This is setting up to be 2 division rivals here in the division series.
Yeah.
The Padres are 3 outs away from beating the Mets, which is amazing. Which would pit them against the Dodgers, and we'll be heading to Atlanta for the first 2 starting on Tuesday afternoon, which we'll talk about later.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, Regs, you go on the road for 2. Your job is to win 1.
Yes.
And they're 8-11 against the Braves this year. And the Braves are not an easy team to beat. They tend to get big hits and big moments. They get good starting pitching no matter who they put out there. And I just feel like the Phillies have played them really well all year. I truly believe that the Phillies have played with them all year. I've never felt like the Phillies have been outclassed in games like they are against the Mets. I always feel like they compete. I feel like the Braves just always tend to come up with that big hit against them.
Yeah.
And in a short, in a best of 5, all you need to do again is win one of these on the road. And I'm assuming they're going to get Max Fried and Spencer Strider here in games 1 and 2.
Yeah.
The Phillies are going to try out Ranger Suarez, who I still say has no pulse. But you win one of those, Regs, and I'm going to tell you what. This group of Phillies and this group of Braves have not experienced this as Bank Park the way that they're going to experience it on Friday.
Yeah.
You win one game in Atlanta, you win this series.
Yeah.
You win one game, you win this series. Because I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to lose at home. They're not going to lose at home with that crowd. It's going to be impossible. I know Atlanta's going to be crazy. Atlanta's still going to be loud. It's still going to be a great environment for baseball. It is not going to hold a freaking candle to what Citizens Bank is going to sound like on Friday night.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold a freaking candle. It's not. So real quickly, it's also Friday will be the first time the Phillies have been home in 14 games.
Yeah, that's nuts.
It will have been 14 games since they've been at home. And it's probably in terms of days, like 16, 17 plus days at this point. Well, more than that, because they had an off day before the playoffs, right? They have 2 off days now heading to Atlanta. And so it's probably closer to almost 20 days that they wouldn't have been back in Philadelphia.
Wild.
Which is just unheard of in baseball. And the fact that they are where they are right now just says everything you need to know about this team. Mm-hmm. Let me go through what the Phillies have done pitching wise against the Braves this year. And then, we'll just kind of talk generally about, what scares you about the Braves and we'll do some keys and of course we'll do predictions. Game 1 starter for the Phillies will be Ranger Suarez in 5 games against the Braves this year. 28 innings, a 3.21 ERA, and 23 strikeouts. It's actually, those aren't bad numbers against them. Game 2 starter will be Zach Wheeler. He's thrown 3 games against the Braves this year, 20 innings, a 2.7 ERA with 25 Ks. And then Aaron Nola will throw Friday in Game 3, 5 games, 34 and a third innings pitched, 3.67 ERA, and 41 strikeouts against the Braves this year. As I said, they'll probably see Fried in Game 1. If Strider is able to go, he'll more than likely pitch Game 2. I can't imagine that they wouldn't try and sneak a Game 2 with him, coming out of that. So, Regs, obviously, we talked a little bit about this when we did our brief predictions last week. So I know how you feel about Atlanta, but just talk to me a little bit about some of the things that when you think about Atlanta's roster, what are some of the things that scare you? Some of the things that lead you to believe this will be the last stop for Philly this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, as much as I hate the guy, Ronald Acuna Jr. is still a very good baseball player. And I think their sort of core of Riley, Sweeney, Fried, like the guys who were around last year, they've been through this. They've done what needs to happen to win a World Series. That kind of experience is sort of invaluable. You can't sort of put, does that get them a win and a half against a Phillies team that's going into their first playoff series? Like, I don't know. I don't know what it means. Does it make me scared of them? Yes. Of course it does. And I think the fact that they're coming in having just beat the Mets to win the division again, I'm really happy that they've just been sitting around for a while. I think if we catch this Braves team in that wild card round, we're probably not having as much of a fun conversation right now as we are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because if they're coming off, as hot as they were, this is not the same conversation. So I like that they've been sort of just sitting around doing nothing for the past week and a half. But you can't take away the experience that going through the run they went on last year gives these guys. I've said it before when we've had series against them even at home. They're not afraid to go into Citizens Bank Park and win. Do I agree with you that it's going to be different in the playoffs? Yes, I do. But they have guys who are just capable of making winning plays all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't think they are going to be scared or nervous. And they're truly a team that we're going to have to beat. They're probably not going to beat themselves. It's truly a team that you're going to have to just beat. You got to stand up in front of them and you have to beat them. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of scrolling through the roster as you talked, and certainly you're right. Like, they don't beat themselves. They find ways to get the big hit. No matter who comes up for them from their minor league system, they're always successful. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't know that I look at them and say, oh, here's a guy that is going to make an out. Like I feel like every time Yadier came up in this series, I was like, oh, he's an out.
Yeah.
The Braves don't have that.
No.
There's more guys that I feel like are impossible outs in the Braves lineup than are actual outs. Like I feel like we never get Austin Riley out.
Nope.
I feel like Dansby Swanson hits 1,000 against the Phillies. Michael Harris Jr. is just the biggest pest in the world. Feels like Ronald Acuna hits 12 times a game against us.
I know.
So, there's just so many weapons that they have top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's a very different lineup than St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
There's no breathing room.
No.
Every dude is just as good as the next dude. All of that being said, I feel like the Phillies are very similar. Like, I really do. I feel like there's no breathing room in a Phillies lineup. Even when they're struggling, any of these dudes can hurt you. Any of them. And right now they're playing with nothing to lose. They've already outperformed what everybody thought they would do anyway.
Yeah.
What is there to lose for them at this point? So I think I'm going to start. I'll start. I always make you start. I'll start. I'll do a key. What I think is a key to them being successful, and then you go, and then we'll do our predictions. My key, Rags, is stay loose. Just go there and have fun. If you just go there and stay loose the way you did in St. Louis, and you just put the ball in play and try and make some things happen, you're gonna win one there.
Yeah.
And all you gotta do is win one. That's it. Win one. I think it's all about staying loose, not playing too tight. I don't think there's any. I think it's just that simple. This is a really good baseball team that you're playing. And if you play too tight, they're going to beat you because they're going to take advantage of your mistakes.
Yeah.
All the pressure's on them, man. They're the defending world champions. The pressure is on Atlanta. There's no pressure on the Phillies. They're a third place wild card team that no one thinks is going to get out of this round anyway. No one thought they were getting out of the St. Louis round. So you got no pressure on you. Just go have fun, and we'll be celebrating again by the end of next weekend. That's really what this is. Really what this is. What's your key?
My key is shut down innings. If the offense is able to put up runs again, I thought it was some of the most important innings that ever happened. Was, like I said, even after that Bryce thing, Nola went out and didn't allow a run. After Harper gets the home run, Nola has a shutdown inning afterwards. The Phillies in their past have been awful at this.
Yep.
For the past 3 years, I feel like even just you and I before the podcast have talked about, why can't we ever just get some runs and not give up any in the next half inning?
Sure.
I think that is going, if we can do that, I'm not going to say we're going to do it as well as we did against St. Louis, but if we can figure out how to do it maybe 2/3 of the time, I think it changes this series completely. And again, we aren't going to be perfect. The Braves are going to figure out ways to score runs on top of ours. They're just going to do it. They're too good of a baseball team. But if we can figure out a way to do it, like I said, 2/3 of the time, I think it will change this series. It will change every game. Every single one of them.
Yeah, I love that key because the last game I was at against Atlanta, that's why they lost that game.
Yeah.
They had that lead so many times.
Yep.
And Gibson just kept giving it back and giving it back and giving it back. And then Robertson gave it back. And, again, because of the Braves put together really good at bats.
Yep.
And they're pesty and they're tough.
Absolutely.
And I feel like a lot of times that the Phillies lose to them, it's because of just what you're saying. They don't come out and get the outs they need to get in the spots they need to get them in.
Right.
So that's a great key and one that's in their control.
Yeah.
Like you cannot guarantee that you're going to get big outs in spots against Acuna and Olsen and Swanson and Riley.
Right.
Like you did this series with Arenado and Goldschmidt.
Yeah, exactly.
Because really all you had to worry about in that lineup was Arenado and Goldschmidt.
Yeah.
You don't get that with the Braves.
Right.
It's one after another after another after another after another. They can all hurt you. So you're right. I think getting outs where you need to get the outs after you put up runs, you need to take away their opportunities when those opportunities come through. The less opportunity they're given, the more successful you're going to be. And especially with how loaded they are. So
yeah. And the more that you can stop them feeling like they can come back, that's why teams like the Braves are able to be as good as they are.
Yeah.
Because they always believe that they can like score a run or two after the other team has scored. Yep. If you can just stop that twice in a game, I don't care when it is. It not only demoralizes the opposing team, but it gives your team confidence that we can go out and score some more runs and be ahead by even more.
Yep. Put a little doubt in their head.
Exactly.
Just put a little bit of doubt in their head. You did that with the Cardinals, and look how it turned out.
Yep.
You put a little bit of doubt in their heads, and it's going to be very difficult for them to win the series. The Mets are 1 out away.
Yep, 2 strikes.
The fraudulent Mets
freaking
are 1 out away.
Hater on the mound.
In their winner go home wildcard game,
At
they drew
home.
39,000 fans
At home.
The lowest of the 3 games at Citi Field. They didn't sell out. Unbelievable.
One
This
strike.
is absolutely amazing. I'm a little ahead of you, so I'll keep my mouth shut.
Okay.
Really, it's 0-2 right now. So I won't. It's not like it's over.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for the Mets to lose, your prediction for the Phillies Braves. Long pause.
I know. 3-1.
Atlanta.
We get us. We get 1 in Atlanta and we don't lose at home.
Wow. Can't say I saw that coming after our last week's episode. What's changed your mind?
Why not be in at
Why
this
not?
point?
Why not?
Why
not be in? Why not
what
be
do I
in?
have to lose, like you said?
Why not be in? I also have it 3-1 Phils. I think if it gets back home at 1-1, they're not losing. They're not losing at home.
Absolute homer pick, and I don't care.
No, you know what though? That stadium's a buzzsaw, and it's craving playoffs. It is craving playoffs, and I just believe with every ounce of my being that they are going to flat out win this series and play in the NLCS against maybe the Padres. I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like we just need to see if Marte makes this last out before we move into the Phixated.
All right.
Are you good with that?
Yes.
All right. Let's just see what happens with Marte here before we move
Mr.
on.
Umpire. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, we needed a breather there. Yeah. I think we might be back together now.
It's like 106 miles per hour to the face.
I think you're a little ahead of me at this point.
Gosh,
By
okay,
like
sorry.
literally a half a second.
All right.
I don't know how you got ahead of me.
I don't know either.
That's odd. I mean, Regs, this is what the perfect sports weekend is happening right now.
Oh my God. They spent all that money.
It is the perfect
And you're
sports
going to
weekend.
choke away the division.
I can't wait
and
to
then
watch.
lose in the first round.
I can't wait to watch the meltdown on Twitter that I'm going to watch tonight. I follow certain Met accounts just for this reason.
I love it. You should follow Brendan Nimmo right now.
Oh. Let me tell you.
For those of you listening to the podcast, Azzy just gave me a talk to the hand gesture.
What a fraud Brandon Nimmo is. What a fraud. What a fraud. Free agent Brandon Nimmo. If he comes anywhere close to Citizens Bank Park and the Red Pins.
Not with Marsh on the team.
Don't
need him. Don't need him.
We don't need him anymore. That nightmare is eliminated.
Roll over to Manny. Come on, Manny.
Oh, you're a little ahead. Here we go. Oh, he fell. Bye, New York. See ya. Bye, New York.
Oh,
just
my
like that.
God, it's unbelievable.
The fraudulent Mets blow the division, lose in the playoffs. What a bunch of frauds.
God,
The
I
Mets are.
love that Scherzer lost game 1 too. I love it
What
so
a
much.
bunch of
One
frauds.
hit in a game that defines your entire season. One hit.
What a bunch of frauds. Let me
God,
just
that's
run
fantastic.
through. Let me run through the frauds that are the New York Mets. Stupid Timmy Trumpet and its dumb entrance. Fraud. Pete Alonso elbowing dudes in the back. Fraud.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, what a fraud. Jeff McNeil and his dumb handle on his bat that looks like it's his own tree trunk. Fraud.
I
And
love
the
that this is
biggest
how we're ending
fraud
it.
of them all. Actually, wait, before I do that. Max Scherzer, game 1 choke job. Fraud. The number one fraud of them all is that dumb center fielder who sprints to first base after a walk. Fraud. They're all frauds, Regs. See you in New York. Take care. Enjoy your 13 wins, 15 wins, whatever it was against us this year. You're a bunch of freaking frauds. Every single one of you. Oh, this feels good.
Give me a person on the planet who would have said that the Phillies get out of the wild card series and the Mets don't.
Frauds.
Unbelievable.
Frauds. Wow.
One
Love
hit
this.
in a game that decides your life.
We're changing their name. They're the New York Frauds. And you know what? Next year, because of the big wins that the Phillies have had this year, next year, their luck against the Mets will change. They will be much more competitive. The monkey's off their back. The Mets are the frauds. The Phillies, however, winners. They are winners. Frauds, winners. That's the difference.
Just
Frauds.
Unbelievable. Oh, there's Nimmo.
Well,
They're showing him.
So-
there he is.
Oh, what?
There he is.
What a fraud. You joke. You joke. I don't really mind Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
Oh, Pete Alonso, you're a fraud.
You got something you're fixated on?
Yeah, I do. And it's not the frauds in New York. They don't deserve our time. Okay, man. I'm actually fixated on the schedule that the Phillies get to play, not the New York Frauds, this coming week. Because, look, man, like, I'm lucky enough that I have DVR. Like, I feel lucky and blessed that I'm able to DVR the games. And unfortunately, like, it's a very stressful, when you love something as much as, like, I love the Phillies, it's very stressful to DVR something and, like, have to walk on eggshells all day because you don't know if someone's going to say something. And it makes you feel like you're weird because you're like, I don't want you, please don't say a word to me. Like, this means a lot to me and I don't want to know. But like Major League Baseball they don't get it. Like, they don't understand what this does in terms of like fandom for the sport. Like, you're trying to increase the amount of fans for a sport that some deem dying. It's not dying. It's not. But you're trying to increase the youth fandom out there. But you're gonna put a game on at 1:00 when kids are in school.
Yeah. What? I get. Yeah.
Like Regs, your kids are gonna be in school at 1:00, and the Phillies have one of the broadest fan bases in baseball. But they're gonna, like, most of these kids aren't gonna be able to watch the game. Working adults aren't gonna be able to watch the game. Like, I don't get to watch it live. Again, I'll DVR it. Fine, good for me. But like, there are people that won't be able to DVR it and will miss it. And I feel like they're going to miss out on ratings because of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to watch the Yankees at night. I'm not going to watch the Dodgers and the Padres at night. But if you put the Phillies on at night, I'm going to watch it. You're going to have a much broader audience than you are otherwise. So I think they just want more advertising opportunities to spread out throughout the day. And they don't have enough networks. Because not enough networks want to broadcast the games. But I'm not quite sure how they can't get on FS1, Fox, ESPN, and ESPN2 all at one time.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. They should be able to do that. And the fact that they're not going to be able to do that. Like Regs, I would sit through Michael K and A-Rod again to be able to watch the team live. Like I would do it, whatever. I would do it because I want to be able to watch. And because they're putting them on at 107 on Tuesday, I can't watch the game. Like it's just for a sport that people complain about speed wise and excitement value and all of these other things. This is not a good look. Like I never expected to be put on ahead of the Yankees. They'll never do that.
Yeah.
They'll never ever put us on ahead of the Yankees. Broadest fan base in the world. It's like they'll never do it. They were always getting the primetime game. You know, I was talking to Eric Kopp today, and he's a Yankee fan. He said, well, I thought they might put on the defending champs on primetime. No way. They're going to put the Yankees on primetime every time. And now that there's 2 West Coast teams, they're always going to have a night game. That's always going to happen. So that Friday game now is going to be more than likely going to be a 4:30 game in Philly.
Right.
And
which means that I have to skip work.
Right.
In order to go to it, because I'm not missing the first home playoff game that I, again, am lucky enough to have the opportunity to go to.
Yeah. Because now could they potentially do like a 6 o'clock and 8:45 start? Absolutely they could. Will they? I don't know. I don't know that they will. We'll have to see what happens here in the next couple of days. They haven't announced game 3 times yet.
Yeah.
They've only announced games 1 and 2. But I mean, from a Philly fan perspective, you know, I'm basically going to have to leave work on Wednesday right away to get home in time for the first pitch, and forget Tuesday. Tuesday, I'm just praying that nobody, you know, tells me what the score is.
Yeah.
And that I can get home without seeing the score or knowing the score, and you know, I can sit in front of my TV and watch it and that's always hard, like to sit and watch it knowing that everybody else already watched it. And you know, again, it's my choice to do that. I don't want to follow it on my phone. It's the first time they've played in the NLDS in a decade. But I also take the risk of getting to the 9th inning and someone telling me the score.
Yeah.
And then I missed all of it anyway. So I don't know, man. I'm fixated on baseball fixing it because no other sport has this issue. Like it's the only sport that has this issue of like not getting playoff times right. Like basketball, there are multiple games on in a night. They figure it out. Like they have more teams in the playoffs than baseball does, and there's never overlapping. You know, we talked about before, March Madness puts all their games on at once, and they still get plenty of ratings. Like I feel as though if baseball just put on the Phillies at the same time as the Yankees, they'd win out ratings wise. Phillies have a huge fan base. They'd all be watching. Yankees have a huge fan base. They'd all be watching. Everybody's watching. Everybody wins.
Yep.
But so many people are going to miss that 1 o'clock start time because of school and work. And it makes no sense to me. Just no sense at all. Zero. I'll never understand it, man.
Me neither.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Well, Regs, long one tonight, almost 2 hours.
It was. We're at 1:38.
But well worth it. A lot to talk about. A lot of good stuff.
If you don't think we're going to talk a long time about the Phillies winning a wild card series after just making the playoffs in 11 years, then I don't know why you listen in the first place.
A 5-0 Eagles team to boot.
That's right.
So it was happening no matter what. And we earned it. We deserve it.
We did.
We deserve it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Please, please, please click subscribe below if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and rate us. Come on, give us some ratings. You know, you can follow us on Instagram at the BNB podcast. You can follow us or on Twitter, I'm sorry, at BNB Podcast or at the Phixated Pod. You can follow me at the Mic Drop 5. You can follow Regs at Big Regs with a Z. I still love being able to say it. And you can follow us on the Phixated fan page. We're creeping, I think, up towards like 90 now. Followers on that Facebook page. So Make sure you continue to spread the word and follow us there. And click the link for some merch. I mean, I'm sporting the beanie tonight, and certainly next week or on Thursday I'll have on something else.
By all accounts, it's good stuff.
Yeah, maybe the red pullover. It might be the green hoodie. I don't know what I'm gonna throw on Thursday night. We'll see, I guess, huh?
Can't wait.
I guess.
I can't wait to get mine. I can't wait.
I know. I can't wait for you to get it either. In the meantime, guys, take care. Be safe. Be kind to someone. Be good. And most of all, go Phils. Go Birds. But really, go Phils.
Have a good night, everyone. Go Phils!
Take care, everybody.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.